Did you know that this scene with Neji was way different in the manga? How about Neji's completely different design compared to the manga? And heck, that's not even the worst part, as today I have gathered 30 insane changes and differences between the anime and manga in Naruto and Boruto. Starting off with that Neji change. Remember when the Konoha 11 went on a mission to reclaim Sasuke from Orochimaru's team that was sent to claim him? Well, Neji's opponent was Kodimaru, and during their fight, Neji was hit on the shoulder, right? Well, this is the anime version, where Neji's shoulder is indeed injured. But, wanna guess how the manga version looked? Well, half of Neji's shoulder was blown off. Like, check this, we're talking about a huge hole in his shoulder, and that wasn't even the worst censorship the Naruto producers did in the series. Remember when Asume died? Shikamaru took it pretty rough, right? Well, in the manga, what happens is that Shikamaru starts crying in the rain while also smoking Asuma's cigarette as an attempt to feel closer to his teacher that is now gone. Well, in the anime, they removed the cigarette as they felt it could send the wrong message to children about smoking when being sad. Well, something very similar happened in the Boruto anime and manga as well. When Mitsuki achieved Sage Mode for the first time and broke through the barrier that was meant to hold him, we saw that after all, Log and Orochimaru were just working together in efforts to have Mitsuki awaken his inner power. Well, after that reveal in the manga, Log takes out his lighter and starts smoking a cigarette. But in the anime, well, he just takes out his lighter and just awkwardly holds it there. No cigarette present in this scene at all. And yet, this was not the only time that Boruto manga removed cigarettes, as Amado's smoking habit is replaced with him casually just drinking coffee. Yeah, who needs a nicotine addiction when you've got a caffeine addiction? And yeah, they also removed Shikamaru's smoking habit as an adult as well. Now, how about we speak about some coloring changes next? Well, a famous example many Naruto fans know is that Minato's Rasengan when fighting Obito was blue in the anime, same color as to what we're used to, right? Well, in the manga, on the other hand, we can see that his Rasengan is actually yellow. This is also the case for Naruto's Rasen Shuriken, as in the anime it's blue, while in the manga it's yellow. But an example many fans do not really know is that when it comes to Killer Bee's case, well, his hair in the manga is more towards yellow rather than white that we see in the manga. Not only that, but his skin tone is a bit different as well. Like, as we can see here, his skin is darker in the manga, while in the anime, they made him more light-skinned. Not only that, but Kurotsuchi's eye color is also different. In the anime, she features a plain black color for her eyes, while in the manga, she has a purple-like color. Up next, check this kinda messed up situation that occurred in the Boruto manga. Remember in a past video we posted about Naruto hot takes? We did mention that Sakura might have been more loved and not hated as much by the fandom if she had a big chest, or was, in general, drawn to be more attractive. Well, Ikemoto apparently was of that belief as well, so he tried to depict Sarada in a more sexual way in the Boruto manga. Obviously nothing too explicit, but he definitely drew her in some obviously inappropriate situations and clothes for a child of her age. He drew her in awfully short skirts and tops, something that naturally does not happen in the anime. Believe me, that was not all. When Boruto visited Sarada in her room after Boruto left, we saw her sexually biting her glasses while having thoughts about Boruto. This moment was also not included in the anime. Naturally, all those sexualized moments were highly criticized, and Ikemoto was called out for it. Thankfully, this controversy was later addressed, and Sarada was no longer drawn in such a way. But back to Naruto. We previously mentioned Neji and his shoulder injury, right? Well, how many of you knew that his tattoo was also different in the manga? In the anime, his tattoo is more similar to a cross, while in the manga, his tattoo is that of Manji. Since in the West, this symbol has been associated with far-right organizations, naturally, this was changed in the anime to avoid controversy. But as a matter of fact, this symbol in the East, and more specifically Japan, symbolizes the concept of truth, genuineness, or something unaltered. As part of the Manji symbol, it signifies the importance of authenticity in communication or expression. Next, we previously mentioned how Shikamaru's cigarette was censored, right? Well, that was not the only moment that Shikamaru was censored. Remember when Shikamaru was caught in Tayuya's genjutsu? Well, this is the anime version. Kind of violent, right? Well, in the manga, it's way worse than that. You see, in the manga, it is way more explicit, as we can see the flesh from his arms falling off, revealing his naked bones. Once again, this was toned down in the anime. We mentioned Shikamaru's arms a few points ago, right? We'll check this scene during the chunin exams. In Shino's fight with Zaku, we see that Shino blows off Zaku's arms, right? Well, in the anime, the scene is pretty much nothing in front of what actually happened in the manga. I mean, in the manga, his arms are literally blown off and cut into pieces. Yeah, this was definitely more brutal in the manga. Another difference when it comes to the chunin exams is Tenten's fight against Temari. We all remember how the almighty Tenten overpowered Temari and only lost due to plot, right? Well, what happens in the manga instead is that, well, this fight scene isn't even in the manga, to be honest. But speaking about brutal, we all know that Gaara in the start of the anime was kind of a savage and a psycho. Well, you've got no idea how much more brutal he is in the manga. I mean, in the manga, just as an example, example, his expressions are way worse. Like, we're talking a complete maniac. And he also keeps count of the people he kills, as if he enjoys it. And his primary goal is to kill people and not really pass the exams. And check this as well. That was not the only change in regards to Gaara. Remember when Gaara tried to hurt himself when being younger, but the sand would automatically get in the way? Well, in the anime, Gaara tries to stab himself, while in the manga, he tries to do something even worse, aka slice his wrist. Obviously, none of these worked in both versions. But speaking of chunin exams, let's see, what difference occurred in the Boruto series next? Well, for starters, in the anime, we see a lot of fights between characters, while in the anime, well, the chunin exams are cut off shortly with the arrival of Momoshiki. We did not really see much of the chunin exams, just the start of it, and then the interruption by the Otsutsukis. While some might say the extra fights in the Boruto anime were added as extra material in order to extend the anime, right? Well, maybe. After all, many of Boruto's anime episodes are filler. Well, that's another change between the anime and the manga right there. The Boruto anime has a slow pacing with many filler episodes or even filler arcs, which actually led many fans to disliking Boruto. But as a matter of fact, the manga is actually fire. Like, there are no filler episodes, and the interest is always high. Plus, the way the filler episodes were executed was, if you ask me, pretty bad, as they made the episodes more childish, as opposed to the now adult audience of Naruto that expected certain things from the series they grew up with and loved. Not only that, but because there were so many filler episodes, it was inevitable that many characters became anime original, as they actually never appeared in the manga. Some examples include Iwabe, Denki, and Sumire. Sumire, of course, became manga canon later on, but she was not present in the manga from the earlier stages like it happened in the anime. But speaking about the start of the anime, did you know that there was a difference there as well when compared with the manga? I mean, in the manga, the story pretty much begins just before the chunin exams, aka a great way to get started with the story. Not wasting time, straight into the action and fun stuff. Well, the manga took a different approach and went on to start the anime with, yep, you guessed it, filler material. It starts with Boruto in the academy, introducing more side character, which I suppose it's not that bad. But at the same time, this slows down the pacing of the story, which naturally, many fans, being already skeptical of Boruto series, did not appreciate. Okay, next, I want to speak about certain character designs that Boruto characters had in the anime compared to the early parts of the manga. Well, for starters, this is Konohamaru's design, where we can see that his hair has a more afro-like appearance compared to the straight one in the anime. When it comes to Himawari now, well, she's probably the worst one in our list. I mean, she does look pretty weird, right? And not even close to how she looks in the anime. She reminds me a bit of Damon, to be honest. Something similar happens with Hinata as well, where, as we can see in the manga, she features a way rounder face and a pretty different facial design compared to the anime. I guess Ikemoto's art style just features more round faces for the characters. What, you don't believe me? Well, check Sakura's early manga design then, and compare it with how she looks in the anime. Yeah, pretty different, huh? I think you're now starting to believe me. But hear me out. These changes are because of Ikemoto's unique art style, sure. But before anyone starts hating on him, calm down. He definitely improved and matched Kishimoto's style in later parts of the manga. Some designs, to be honest, were not even bad. I actually prefer some of them when compared to the anime. A prime example is Sasuke's design, where, okay, truth be told, you either love it or hate it. On my end, I kinda like it, since it portrays him in a more unique, cold, and badass way. Well, if you don't like that design from Sasuke, check this one next for 6-Path Sage Mode Naruto. Now this, you have to like. I mean, the manga version here is pretty badass if you ask me, even more than the anime. Next, we spoke about Hinata and Himawari, so how about the other female Hyuga? Well, let's see how Hanabi is drawn in the manga. Wait, what? Yep, as a matter of fact, she has yet to appear in the manga, which is pretty weird considering how many times she appeared in the anime. But since we mentioned Boruto's art style, I think I need to mention this as well. You see, when compared with the anime, we do observe that the manga features a more adult-oriented art style, with a more serious tone and generally a vibe that says there's more things at stake. Whereas in the anime, we can clearly see that the theme is a bit more child-oriented, which again is one of the reasons many adult fans of the Naruto franchise were not left happy with Boruto. Now, let's get back to Naruto, where I want you to check this out, as I think it's pretty funny. Well, remember Ebisu? He's a pretty chill guy, right? Well, not so much in the manga. I mean, here's how he reacts when he's pissed off or getting serious in the anime. Well, in the manga, let's just say that he also sends a pretty strong message with his hands, I suppose. For the next change, I want to speak about a tiny detail that I am sure you definitely missed. And any Dragon Ball fans watching this, I'm sure you'll love what I found. Do you see this manga panel? Well, do you see anything strange or anything familiar from Dragon Ball? Yep, that's Chaozu right there. A great reference to the father of the big three, if you ask me. But was this featured in the anime? Not quite. As we can see here, there's no mask of Chaozu, and the reason being that Dragon Ball is owned by a different animation studio. So naturally, the producers needed to avoid any potential copyright issues. Next up, let's talk about Sarada's first use of the Chidori. In both versions, this happened during the fight against Boro. However, there are some key differences between the two mediums. For example, in the manga, we see that Sarada awakens her third Tomoe Sharingan in order to use the Chidori, while in the anime, no such thing was revealed. Not only that, but in the anime, we get glances of her Chidori training before she actually performs the jutsu, whereas in the manga, this did not happen, making the moment of her using the Chidori even more unpredictable, and thus even more enjoyable in my eyes. Speaking of Sarada though, well, a key difference I observed is that in the anime, apparently, Sarada is a peanut.
You're my cute little peanut.
Well, in the manga, well, she's a normal person. But seriously, the reason for this change is because of the way Sasuke is depicted in the two versions of Boruto. In the anime, I must admit that Sasuke is downplayed, underestimated, and quite honestly, kinda trashed compared to how badass, epic, and cold he is in the manga. He's more mysterious, does not lose against opponents that he would otherwise have destroyed, like it happened in the anime, and well, he obviously does not keep running out of chakra in the manga. In the anime though, well, the producers completely trashed his character, making him way weaker than what he actually is in order to give room for Boruto's squad to work. But in reality, even though I love Boruto as a series, with its good and bad things, I'll admit that this was definitely not among the best moments of Boruto. Now, when it comes to Boruto going on a break, I will say that I think this was a good call. Let the manga cover some ground, and then have the anime return with some peak episodes with top-tier animation and art style. And why do I mention this? Well, because in some occasions, we saw that the animation was, well, let's just say, not the best. Or yeah, let's be brutally honest here. It was horrible at some moments. Not only that, but there were moments that Naruto was drawn like an elf. Like, check this out. In what universe is this Naruto? Like, those ears remind me of the elves that help Santa prepare gifts for Christmas. A somewhat more serious change now with the anime versus manga is the following. Remember the iconic moment where Boruto and Kawaki meet on top of the Hokage statues? Yeah, it's the very first scene we get in the anime, and it's a flash forward for what's about to come in the next few years in time. Well, these two scenes were drawn differently between the anime and the manga. What do I mean by that? Well, if we closely observe these two panels, in the anime, Boruto wears Sasuke's cloak, while in the manga, the cloak featured seems to be Boruto's. If you ask me, a great change right here, as Boruto's sword is that Sasuke's, and so is his forehead protector. And for the final change in Boruto series, let's talk about this scene, where Boruto swallows the pills given to him without hesitation, no matter if Naruto had just told him that they might pose a danger to him. Well, the difference between the two versions is Naruto's reaction, where in the anime, we see him being surprised, but in the manga, well, we get a comical moment with Naruto's reaction being, well, priceless. And now, back to Naruto. Remember the iconic fight of Sasuke versus Itachi? Yeah, I'm sure you do. That was one of the best, if not the best fight in Naruto. Well, a major change occurred in that fight when compared with the manga. You see, Sasuke's Kirin was one of the most badass and highly destructive moves he pulled. Well, in the manga, this move was not present at all. Next up, let's talk about some more censorships. Remember the people that were crucified in early stages of the anime? Pretty brutal, right? Well, you've got no idea. As in the manga, this is way worse. Not only are they crucified, their hands are completely torn off. Talk about cruelty, right? Not only that, check this. Orochimaru's laboratory in the manga is, well, as messed up as it gets. In the anime, however, they instead went a different way and just chose to have Orochimaru's room being pretty dark and basically empty as far as we can see. Another censorship of a violent moment was, of course, Kimimura's bloodline limit, where in the anime, he detaches his bones and uses them as weapons, right? Well, in the manga, the way he does that is way more brutal, as his skin basically rips open to allow Kimimaro to access his bones. Now, when it comes to censorship, there's more than just censorship and violence. That's because there's censorship when it comes to sexual moments as well. How? Well, Naruto's sexy transformation jutsu is much more explicit in the manga than what it is in the anime. In the anime, there's a whole lot more smoke compared to the manga, and this was naturally done in order to cover or even censor the image further. Okay, next, when it comes to the Hokage revival during the Fourth Great Shinobi War, in the anime, Tobirama performs the Bringer of Darkness jutsu. Well, not that it makes all that big of a difference, but in the manga, the one who performs this technique is actually Hashirama. Now, let's talk about the final canon moments of the Naruto Shippuden moments. First of all, in the anime, Sasuke goes to jail in order to regret his action and redeem himself. He also goes through trial and examination before being set free. In the manga, however, he's immediately pardoned. To be honest, I prefer the anime version, as this makes more sense than just having him being immediately pardoned. Not only that, that. But when it comes to canon material, the movie The Last is additional material that takes place after the end of the Naruto Shippuden anime. These events, however, were never actually part of the manga. Even though this is the case, Kishimoto confirmed that the movie is canon, as he was basically supervising and modifying the script and plot of the movie. Up next, let's talk about how many battles are extended in the anime, whereas in the manga, things moved way faster. A prime example of that is Sakura versus Sasori, that took 5 whole episodes, where in the manga, it barely took a few chapters. Just for reference, a normal episode has between 2 and 4 chapters of manga content. So yeah, I'd say that scenes like that are heavily extended. And speaking of Sasori, did you know that in the manga, his puppet named Hiroko is actually a normal puppet, while in the anime, Hiroko is a human puppet instead? Yeah, that's a change as well. Moving on, let's discuss how the anime overuses the flashback themes way too often. Like in the manga, yeah, this tactic is used as well, but not even close to how often this appears in the anime. A small change next is the appearance of Utakata in the anime. You see, in the anime, Utakata appears for the first time in some filler episodes, while in the manga, this happens way later, all the way until the 4th Great Shinobi War. And now, let's close with Neji's death. Well, in the anime, a funeral was held for everyone who died during the 4th Great Shinobi War, while in the manga, we see a funeral being held specifically for Neji. Click on this video next, where I'm ranking the top 25 strongest characters in Konoha's history. Go on, check it out!